Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today. So let's start off talking about Kevin Owens to AEW. Yes, I'm not going to obviously hide from the fact that I thought Kevin Owens was going to be joining All Elite Wrestling. When we heard those initial rumors that Owens' contract was coming up in... When did those rumors first start coming out? It was around October time, when the stories came out that he was his contract was expiring in January. There was the whole thing about Kevin Owens putting the location for Mount Rushmore on his Twitter profile, and then you had the Young Bucks referencing it in their Twitter bio and all that kind of stuff. And everyone went, he's going, myself included. I thought it was a perfect fit for Kevin Owens to go to All Elite Wrestling. Of course, it didn't happen in the end. Owens has re-signed a multi-year deal with WWE, a big win for WWE. Looks like Sami Zayn, on top of that, has re-signed with the company too, but AEW president Tony Khan has admitted for the first time, because he wasn't going to talk about it when all of this speculation was going on about Kevin Owens' contract expiring. Tony Khan has admitted he was interested in signing Kevin Owens before learning that he had chosen to re-sign with WWE. Now, Khan has said that he understands Owens' decision, but admits he would have been interested. He said, quote, I would have been interested in that. He's a great wrestler, Khan told CBS Sports in an interview. He said, quote, I think he ended up signing for what I believe is probably a lot of money. I think that's great and good for him. We have a lot of people spotlighted here, and he's great. Any company he goes to, he'll be a great wrestler for them. So there you go. It's a case of Kevin Owens did have interest from AEW, as a lot of people were expected, but he ultimately decided to re-sign with WWE. Now, the Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer reported last week that Owens' contract is a 3-year deal. However, Owens did not get a no-cut clause. We spoke about that earlier today in the WWE News video. Meltzer added that the contract is believed to be worth between $2 to $3 million per year. Of course, Kevin Owens is set to be involved in the WWE Championship Fatal 4-Way match at the Day 1 pay-per-view on January 1st. He's going to be going up against the WWE Champion Big E, Seth Rollins, and Bobby Lashley. So, again, I was surprised, and again, I'm not gonna shy away from it, because I did think that Kevin Owens would go to AEW. That kind of had been the pattern for a lot of things this year when it came to people's contract expiring, and then deciding to go to AEW. Adam Cole's an example. Bryan Danielson's another example. And people obviously getting released by WWE and then ending up in AEW as well. I felt, given Kevin Owens' relationship with the Young Bucks, with Adam Cole, it just felt like the perfect place for him to be, for Kevin Steen to reappear. Obviously, though, he's got a huge amount of loyalty to WWE. It's always been his dream to wrestle in WWE, despite how political and difficult it has been for him at times in WWE. He got a great deal for re-signing with the company, and he's been there for 7 years, and he obviously values that place a lot, and he feels like the deal was good for him and good for his family. So, again, like I said before, good for him. I will never, ever begrudge anyone for making a decision that benefits them financially or for their family. Again, I thought it was going to go one way. It didn't. But I'll be totally honest. Like, watching Raw on Monday, if anything, it's a good thing he did re-sign with WWE. Because if Kevin Owens wasn't on Raw on Monday, man, that would have been a bad show. Like, it wasn't a great show anyway, to be honest with you, but whenever Kevin Owens did appear on the screen, it felt like a better show because he was there. And I think that speaks volumes to the talent that Kevin Owens brings to WWE, and I think WWE ultimately, they realize that too. So, but it's always interesting, isn't it, to see that Tony Khan, he was aware, he was more than aware, and he was interested, and I don't blame him. Let's talk about Rampage last week. Now, the Rampage viewership and key demo was up last week. Still not a great number. Friday's taped AEW Rampage drew an average of 571,000 viewers on TNT. This is up over 13%, nearly 14% from the prior week's taped Rampage, which drew 503,000 viewers. Now, Friday's taped Rampage drew a 0.23 rating, the 18 to 49 key demographic, which is up nearly 30% from the prior week's episode, which drew a 0.18 rating in the key demo. Now, Friday's Rampage ranked number 7 for the night in the cable top 150 with the 0.23 key demo rating. This is way up from the prior week's 60 ranking. Friday's Rampage ranked 68 in viewership for the night on cable, which is down from the prior week's 63 ranking. Now, Rampage, I just moved them together there. I always do that. Rampage on Friday night drew the best viewership since November 5th and the best key demo rating since October 29. Now, obviously, the NBA's game between the Lakers and the Timberwolves on ESPN dominated the night in the cable top 150. Rampage is a difficult one, to be honest with you. Obviously, the time slot sucks, but they have had situations, obviously, where it did decent numbers right at the beginning. Debut episode did 740,000. Of course, Punk's debut, The First Dance at the United Center in Chicago, did 1.129 million viewers. Unless they have something ginormous happen on that show, I doubt that they'll ever do that number again in that time slot. The following week they did 722,000 viewers. I don't know if I can see them getting back to that. Rampage was meant to be this essentially a third hour of Dynamite, but it was going to be on a Friday. It's turned into the B show, and I know that Tony Khan didn't want that to happen, but that is what it is. And when you're in that time slot, 11 p.m. Or 10 to 11, it's always going to be like that, unfortunately. Unless it gets moved to 8, but you don't want to be competing with SmackDown, or they move it to, say, a Saturday night, and then it's 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 9 p.m. to 10 or something like that, then maybe it can work out. But it's the B show at this point. It's the B show. I mean, even when they had the 2-hour Grand Slam taped episode, it was 640,000 viewers. Again, we're not talking massive numbers then. So the taped aspect really hurts it. The time slot really hurts it. And even if you can have a decent show, Friday's show was decent, decent match with the 6-man tag and a bit of an Owen Hart Cup tournament update was fine, but it's got a ceiling. It's absolutely got a ceiling. There's no doubt about it. And it's a shame. It is a shame. But unless something gets changed with that, I don't really see it changing, in terms of the ratings and the viewership. And I think ultimately Tony Khan and AEW will realize that. Speaking of specials, though, Battle of the Bouts. Yes, I'm quite excited for this. The Battle of the Bouts is coming, and Tony Khan is promising multiple championship matches for AEW's Battle of the Bouts special, but he's also making it clear that not every title is going to be defended on the show. Now, Khan did an interview with the Culture State podcast and said, quote, "It's a 1-hour event, so I can't put every bout on the line, but it's a great chance on a Saturday night to expand the reach of AEW by giving the fans great championship matches on a Saturday night, which is a night that, people love watching wrestling from our whole lives, that you can build an audience, especially for a big event. So there's going to be big championship matches I'm very excited about." Now, Battle of the Bouts will air live on TNT on January 8th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, and will emanate from the Bojangles Coliseum in Charlotte, North Carolina. I mentioned before about Rampage. I know they're planning to do these specials and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a big success. On a Saturday night, 8 p.m. on TNT. I wouldn't be surprised if Rampage eventually replaces these specials. This could be an indication of let's see what we can do on a Saturday night. And if that is the case, maybe we'll move it. I wouldn't be surprised with that. Now, during last Friday's Rampage, which I spoke about, AEW announced the first match for Battle of the Bouts will be Dr. Britt Baker defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Riho. Tony Khan said there'll be an update on the situation involving the AEW World Championship on tonight's Holiday Bash edition of Dynamite. Of course, Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson wrestled to a 1-hour draw on last Wednesday's episode. I would suspect it's a 2-hour show. I would suspect we have 2 championship matches on that show, one being Britt Baker versus Riho, the other is Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson in a rematch. I suspect also that World Championship match will have a 30-minute time limit draw. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they did another one. Maybe that's too much. Maybe it is too much, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go down that route. Can they stretch it out until the next pay-per-view is Revolution, which is March? I don't think they can. Maybe it's just a case of Hangman Page does beat Bryan Danielson. Maybe he just beats him at Battle of the Bouts or something like that. But there's more they can do with it. And look, the match they had on Wednesday, I mean, Bryan Danielson, he was always one of the best wrestlers in the world anyway. You kind of defy anyone who is better in ring right now than Bryan Danielson. It's insane. The matches he's had this year in WWE and AEW, by the way. You know, go watch that Bryan Danielson Roman Reigns match. His final match in WWE on SmackDown back in, was it May, April? Right after WrestleMania. Look at that WrestleMania Night 2 main event with Reigns, Edge, and Danielson, or Daniel Bryan at the time. Look at the match he had with Kenny Omega at the Grand Slam edition of Dynamite in New York. Look at the match he had last week with Hangman Page. It's just nobody can touch him. Nobody can touch him right now. It's kind of insane. So if they can replicate that, I'm very excited. So I think we'll probably see two matches, as I mentioned. The Women's World Championship and the AEW World Championship, I think, is probably the direction that they're going in. Finally, there's been a lot of talk, hasn't there, recently about Jeff Hardy. Will Jeff Hardy be going into AEW once his 90-day non-compete clause with WWE expires? And Matt Hardy has admitted that he does want to see the Hardy Boys reunite in AEW, and he wants to go up against Sting and Darby Allin. Now, he was speaking about how Sting and the use of legends in AEW, and he mentioned that he thinks that Sting's helped Darby Allin a lot and would love to team with his brother to face off against the cross-generational team, shall we say. He said, quote, "I think he's helped Darby out so much. They both helped one another out. Darby's youthful enthusiasm helps Sting out as well, and I love them together as a team, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's something that has a lot of legs underneath it, in my opinion. I don't know. If one day, sometime in the future, the Hardy Boys ever reform in AEW, I would love to do the Hardy Boys versus Darby Allin and Sting." I mean, who knows? Who knows? Who knows at this point? I think, you know, as the time moves on, as we kind of learn more and more about Jeff Hardy's departure from WWE, and we realize that actually it might not be as cut and dry as we once thought, it feels more likely that Jeff Hardy might end up in AEW. Well, it feels very likely at this point, I think, as long as Jeff Hardy's, you know, straight. And again, we don't really know the real true circumstances of his exit. I'm sure he'll talk about it when the time's right. And if it is the case that he is in this good place, that his family's saying that he is, maybe he does go into AEW, and maybe we see the Hardy Boys reunite one more time before they both decide to retire. As I mentioned, there's plenty of teams you'd love to see him go up against, whether it's the Young Bucks again, FTR, the Lucha Brothers, Darby and Sting, one of Jeff Hardy's most infamous, well, the most infamous moment in his career. One of the most infamous moments in pro wrestling history is the Jeff Hardy Sting match at Victory Road in 2011. Talk about, you know, a 180. They step inside the ring again against each other in AEW when you've got Sting and Darby Allin versus the Hardy Boys, Jeff and Matt. I mean, it would be fascinating to see. I wouldn't want them to trade on that moment that much, because again, it's enough. It's enough. We don't need to really double down on that much, I don't think. But it would be interesting to see, and as I mentioned, as time goes on, it feels more likely that that's going to happen, the Hardy Boys reunion in AEW, and it's very exciting, no doubt about it. But look, guys, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these AEW news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about AEW, Impact Wrestling, WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Go to the rankings and get to people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or having come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.